Greetings. I am speaking to you from the Forest of Prosperity. It's a wintry forest, so we'll be trudging through the snow again. And today I'm going to talk about the Russia and Ukraine situation and how it affects the US dollar. I'm not going to comment on the political situation itself, and we're not going to talk about politics. This isn't a political channel, and I don't want to create political arguments in this channel. But what we will talk about is how this situation will affect the US dollar and the financial impact of the situation. So make sure to like the video and comment your thoughts on the matter, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because these actions helps me with the YouTube algorithm, helps the video with the YouTube algorithm, so it can reach more people and help more people become more knowledgeable and wise so they can achieve greater prosperity. So I know most of you probably know about the Russia-Ukraine situation, and I don't want to have to give you a documentary of what's happening, but basically Russia amassed a lot of troops on its border with Ukraine, and the United States and the European allies have been telling Russia not to escalate the situation and threatening sanctions against Russia if it does. And this is where the US dollar comes in. So, as you know, the United States has been issuing quite a lot of sanctions, or threatening to issue quite a lot of sanctions in the past few years. There was Iran, there was Russia, there was China, and a lot of countries are now fearing that the US dollar dominance is going to threaten their national security, which is pretty true, because if the United States can really damage your economy by restricting your use of the US dollar, then that is a threat to your national security. Russia has realized this, other countries have realized this, and that is why we need to talk about this impact on the US dollar. So, the US dollar is the world reserve currency, but it's the world reserve currency because people trust it, and people are willing to trust the United States. The United States in the 20th century had a pretty good reputation, but in the past few years, a lot of countries have been worried about the US dollar dominance, because cutting off access to the US dollar can negatively damage their economies. And the trust for the United States right now isn't the same as it was in the 20th century. A lot of countries are opposed to the United States and US global hegemony. So what I think is a potential threat to the US dollar is that countries like Russia, China, Iran, and other countries are going to move away from the US dollar as its main reserve currency, and that would end the dominance of the US dollar. The reason why the United States is able to borrow so much money is because of US dollar dominance. It's because countries want to hold US dollars as their reserve currencies, and that's why the buying of US bonds is so popular. Even though the United States has like $30 trillion in the national debt, which is not very sustainable. It's only being sustained because of US dollar dominance. If that ends, then people won't be as willing to buy US Treasury bonds. People are going to buy less US Treasury bonds. The US government will have incredibly difficult financial situation, and it's going to have a really hard time paying up to its debts. It's $30 trillion debt if it's not borrowing money, because basically right now it's borrowing more money to pay for past money it borrowed. So with the incentive to decrease reliance on the US dollar, countries will use the US dollar less. They'll reduce incentives to buy US Treasury bonds. They'll literally buy less Treasury bonds, which is going to affect the situation of the US Treasury in a really negative way. They're going to move away from the US dollar. They'll trade with each other in their own currencies or in gold or in another alternative. And they'll really challenge the dominance of the US dollar, and that is a threat to the US dollar and to the United States. Because once US dollar dominance ends, it's going to be very difficult for the US to fund its programs with $30 trillion of national debt. People are going to stop buying US Treasury bonds. The governments are going to buy less US Treasury bonds, and that will make the US financial situation incredibly difficult. So these are my thoughts on the matter. I hope this was enlightening. If you did find it enlightening, then like the video and comment your thoughts and comment on what you want me to discuss next, because I'm here to help you guys succeed in business, in your finances, and in life in general. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. And all of these actions help me and helps the video with the YouTube algorithm, so we can reach more people and help more people become more knowledgeable in how they can improve their businesses, their finances, and their lives. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.